Well, a delegation of US government officials are in Australia this week discussing infrastructure ideas and innovations and opportunities for economic partnerships that can benefit both countries. The party is being led by National Governors Association Chair and Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, who joins us now. Larry, before we get to why you're out here, I've got to ask you about these developments that are taking place in your homeland at the moment. Have you got an eye, have you got an ear on it all, and how are you making sense of it?
Well, it's kind of hard to make sense of it all, and quite frankly, I don't have much more information than you do, and I'm getting information on the news just like everyone else. I mean, quite frankly, this is breaking news that we're really just getting this morning, and the governors are not really directly involved in this. It sounds like some information to be very concerned about, but we're here in Australia on an infrastructure summit, and so we're not back in Washington understanding what's going on with Congress and the announcement that was just recently made, but we're obviously keeping a close eye on it.
I mean, do you have any private concerns? I mean, I know you're not a part of it at the moment, but privately, do you have any concerns about the political system at the moment in the US? I mean, this is not the first time that there have been calls from the Democrats to impeach the president. So, I mean, is there an expectation that he'll probably survive this one too, bearing in mind that he is in an election cycle?
Well, there's a lot of politics, and it's one of the things that frustrates me about politics in America today. And the governors, which I chair the National Governors Association. Governors, by the way, in America are different. They're like the premiers here in Australia. We run our individual states. For the most part, we really get along well and work together in a bipartisan way. Unfortunately, in Congress and in Washington, that isn't always the case. And the politics today is sometimes angry and divisive, and really on both sides. And we're trying to bring about a more civil discussion and debate, and I think most people just want to get to the facts and would like to see Washington solving real problems. And sometimes the politics get in the way, particularly in the middle of an election year like this. Yeah.
Okay, Larry, about your trip now. You're here in Australia. You're learning some things about infrastructure. What are you hoping to learn? Actually, I should ask. What are you hoping to learn and to use that to take back to your advantage?
Sure. Well, the infrastructure in America really needs to be rebuilt. Some of the issues that you're dealing with here, and I know you still got infrastructure issues and problems you're dealing with, but you're pretty far advanced in some respects to where we are in America. We're here in New South Wales, in Sydney, where they've invested billions and billions of dollars into fixing and improving roadways and tunnels and bridges and transit systems. And by the use of private investment, by asset recycling, which is a fairly new concept to America. And it's one of the things that's a possible solution for some of our issues in America. And it's one of the reasons why we're here. Last year, the Prime Minister and 4 premiers came and addressed our group of governors and talked about the things that you were doing here. And I decided we were going to make our first international visit on this infrastructure tour we're doing across America. We decided to come here to meet with some of your leaders. By the way, I met with the Prime Minister, with the Vice President just before I left on Friday in Washington. I was with the Prime Minister McCormick for lunch yesterday. I'm going to be meeting with 3 premiers while I'm here, but also private sector companies, Australian companies that are doing a really good job of taking over some problems that the government has been doing and investing billions of dollars to fix some of the issues that you've got here in Australia. I think we're going to learn a lot on this trip and take it back to my 49 fellow governors and see if we can't learn some things from what you're doing here in Australia.
Well, it's a two-way street, this can be. Is there anything we can learn from you? I mean, you've given us a good report card there on our infrastructure, but locally there's a lot of criticisms here about, our economy flatlining at the moment and that infrastructure projects aren't being rolled out quickly enough. So back to the question, is there anything that we could learn from you?
Well, look, I think, we're just starting our 2nd century of mateship together. And, we have a tremendous relationship between America and Australia. We fought together in every single conflict, for 100 years. I think we can do more economically together. And I think it's terrific that the Prime Minister is in America. It was a couple of great announcements. One about Australian company creating jobs in America. 2, the President announcing about the joint venture, the partnership with Australia on the space program. And I'll be flying down to South Australia later today to talk about that and the defense industry and cyber. But I think there are a lot more we can do to help each other. And, America is the #1 investor in the Australian economy, and our relationship is critically important. I think we've always helped each other on the defense side, and we can help. I think there's more that we can do together economically to help each other.
Do you think that, from what you've seen here, do you think that we are too reliant on cars, that there should probably be more of a push towards public transport?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something we're wrestling with the same thing. My state of Maryland surrounds the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. We're in the heart of the Mid-Atlantic region. We're a very populous center. And we've invested about $14 billion, my state has, in transit, and about $9 billion in highways and roads. So we're aggressively addressing the same kinds of issues you're dealing with here in Sydney. But we've got the largest private-public partnership on a transit system in the Washington metropolitan area, and also rebuilding highways, because you really need a balanced approach to transportation. There are those who say, let's not build any more roads, let's just do transit systems, but that's not realistic because most people are still going to be driving in cars. But we certainly have to get to the point where we're getting more balance so we can encourage more ridership on public transportation and also do something to increase capacity so you don't have people sitting in traffic and basically wasting their lives and not spending time with their families and being unproductive and wasting billions of dollars for the economy while they sit stuck in traffic jams every single day.
And I guess you can't keep building highways if you do want to build or create a livable city.
Yeah, building livable cities and smart growth where you're putting the density and live, work, and play in the same location is exactly the way you have to go. But it's really a holistic approach. So let's encourage more growth in the cities rather than the suburbs. Let's also do what we can to, with smart signalization and better utilization of our existing highways and improvements, fix some of the tunnels and bridges so that we can not have choke points, but also invest in our public transportation systems to try to get more people moving more quickly, get people in and out of airports, make our ports and our airports run more efficiently. It's a big picture, and it's really, I think you have the same issues here that we have in America. It's not even just transportation. There's been a lack of investment for decades in all of the infrastructure, and it's something that we've all got to focus on, looking at what it's going to look like 20 years, 40 years from now.